Ken was born 7.5 weeks early. He screamed bloody murder the first 6 months of his life. There was never breaks, there was never quiet time. I've tried for so many years to describe those screams. Eardrum piercing, window breaking. If you had like a hawk and you were to cut its foot off, the scream that would make, that would be the sound. Ken was actually diagnosed with night terrors. It was an extreme version of nightmares. He'd wake up screaming, crying, his arms flailing, kicking his feet, and he started very young getting up and running the house. It was extremely hard on me. I felt like I was just failing him. Every chance I get, I try to encourage Ken to do things that make him happy. And outdoors is his thing. If he can be outside, he's happy.
He'll stay outside all the time if you let him. First minute when he gets up in the morning, he's outside the door.
Ken is an adventurer. He has this greater appreciation for the natural world. He feels like that's where he belongs. When Ken was 5, we planned on going on a family trip to the Natural Bridge. And we got up there and it was closed. We thought, well, you know, we can't just cut it short because it's closed. Let's drive and see what we find. And we found this particular spot completely new to us, and Ken had never been up there before. When we got out and started to walk, I noticed that Ken's total demeanor changed almost instantaneously. His facial expressions changed. He was very somber, which then turned into extreme sadness. He wasn't out in front of the family. He was quite a ways behind us, which is very unusual for Ken. And I actually had to go get him and hold his hand to walk this path. He got extremely emotional. It was time to leave. We had to go. He didn't want to be there. He wasn't happy outside, which another not usual for Ken.
Ken had a look of terror on his face. I didn't know what to think, what was going on. I mean, usually Ken loves being outside. He loves going wood walking. He's really happy when we do stuff like that.
Ken said that he had smelt fire. I kept telling him that there was a burn ban, which in Arkansas means no burning of any kind is allowed because the brush is so thick and the chances of wildfires is extreme. We got back to the truck, he just sort of lost it and was uncontrollably crying.
I didn't know what to think. Just seeing how upset Ken was, I've never seen him like that.
He said that he was a soldier and that there was an Indian man there and that he was a chief. His name was 4Cs, and that he was sad but very mad at Ken. He said that there was Indians that lived there. They were forced in this tiny little area. He was told that he had to kill them all. And his words were that I had shot the Indian chief, 4Cs in the arm, and they told me to keep firing, and I shot him in the head. He was told that he had to burn down all evidence of them. Ken wasn't as emotional about anything else ever in his life that he was about this one instance.
His fear and his sadness, it was real.
At this point, I started to think that maybe this was all connected to what Ken was going through at night.
Then they took him to the side and talked to him and helped him work through it, and he got to feeling a little bit better about what happened.
Whenever we had gotten home, I put him to bed, and he passed out like he had been doing, you know, crazy hard labor all day long. That's the only night I ever remember him sleeping through the night. I jumped on the internet and I typed in 4Cs, and I typed in 4Cs Arkansas. I typed in 4Cs Trail. I typed in anything and everything I can come across that would lead me to any answers. And I actually came across the Trail of Tears. Plummerville is really close to the Trail of Tears. In the early 1800s, the Native Americans were forced out of their lands and had to walk west. They call it the Trail of Tears because they lost many, many loved ones. I learned part of the Native American tradition is that you have past lives. Reincarnation is part of the life and death cycle. When I told my husband that it could have been a past life, he really didn't know what to say.
I always believed that once you was dead, you was dead. I still don't really all the way buy into that past life stuff.
Over a couple of weeks, Ken just kept dropping these little hints. Facts started to pour in.
4Cs was a good man.
He told me his name was Kit, and I said, "Your name is Ken." And he said, "No, it's Kit." The closest name I've ever heard in my life is like Kyle or something. Like, I've never heard Kit. I kept looking and I kept doing research, and then one day there it was. My son's memories were real, and I was shocked. I learned that 4Cs is a major symbol in the Navajo creation story. And my belief was that 4Cs could represent the Navajo people in Ken's memories. The Navajo had their own Trail of Tears, and they called that the Long Walk. The Long Walk actually took place in New Mexico, not in Arkansas. It occurred in 1864, a couple of decades after the Trail of Tears. The US government had forced the Navajo people off of their land, and then it jumped off the page at me. The story of a soldier named Kit Carson, the exact name my son had told me. I was literally like yelling, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh," he said that name. I asked Kenneth if the name Kit Carson meant anything to him, and he said, "Yeah, that's me." I felt a little bit of relief because we knew at least what the story was, so we knew where to work. Ken had mentioned that he was given orders, but it didn't change the fact that he felt guilty for it.
Ken felt hurt. He said he was a soldier, but at the same time, it was almost like he was experiencing it from the Indian.
You can just see it all over Ken's face that he was sorry for what he had done.
All people died except for me. It was sad.
I really wanted him to understand that he was Ken now and that he needed to let go of whatever he was feeling in relations to this event. Did some research and found that there is some ceremonies that we can offer to do at the site where he had his emotional breakdown, asking for forgiveness and offering our feelings of sorrow for what they had gone through. This is a place where Ken initially shared his story about Kit Carson with us. We want to do a ceremony for Ken to ask for forgiveness for what he had done and to say goodbye to Kit Carson. I had a mentor who has taught me that burning sage helps clear negative energy and it releases it, and you offer a prayer. That's good. More than enough. Now we're gonna have Dad light it. Try to get it that other little piece right here. Okay, you ready?
Yes.
We're gonna say goodbye to Kit Carson.
Okay, I will.
We're sorry for all the things that Kit Carson has done,
I'm sorry for all the things that Kit Carson has done.
but we need to say goodbye to Kit Carson and 4Cs.
But we need to say goodbye to Kit Carson and 4Cs.
so that I can go on and do wonderful things in my life.
So I can go on and do wonderful things in my life.
All right, I'm done. Give me a hug. I definitely feel optimistic that Ken will be able to set this part of his life aside and move forward and do some good in the world this time around.